Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake of
technology, but increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Master Connector Show. I'm Rob Genovesi, and I hope you're tuning in today and every week, because we're coming at you every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, always bringing you great guests. You know, I came to this show probably several months ago, so I'm a co-host with my buddy Steve, and Steve's been doing this for a couple of years. But listen, Steve and I share a common path, and I don't know if you can relate to this. He is the master connector. I've learned to be a good connector, but we didn't start out that way. We started out as two introverts, two former shy guys, barely able to talk to each other, let alone strangers, in order to do business. One thing he and I had in common was we were both very business focused and wanted to overcome that stuff. And I think one of the greatest stories that Steve has is the overcoming story. Steve will tell you himself, he overcame bullying as a kid. He had to overcome dyslexia, shyness, introversion. I can relate to that stuff. You know, that's tough stuff if you're going through it. But you can overcome. It's a great overcoming story. Steve's got a book out. We're going to talk about that later. But we got a great guest today. And our guest is going to be talking about some of the things that I find just grates on me when people pitch in business. You meet somebody for the first time and they pitch to you. We're going to talk about that stuff. We're going to talk about networking. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. But listen, Steve and I going back 27 years today. We're good friends. We're doing this show. And the whole idea here is we want you guys to build community. We want you to connect with one another. That's where the value in doing business is. It's connecting with your people. Find your people. And we're going to bring you some great people here every single week to teach you some skills to help you up level. You can connect with them. You can learn from them, because that's what it's all about. Years ago, we heard a mentor say, a rising tide raises all ships. And that is totally true. So help me welcome to the show, the master connector himself, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Robbie G? How you doing, sir? Great.
Good.
Great to share the stage with you. And yeah, man, it's been a crazy journey, but I am so pumped of not only where we've been, but where we're going. And you and I have some incredible plans on how we're going to take the show to the next level as we continue to do that, and we continue to level up the show, right? As we have incredible guests and great content we're putting out. So hopefully everyone is taking advantage of it. But again, blessed to have you as a co-host here. And make sure you check out, Rob. He is an amazing brand builder. So check out that. We have a few episodes coming where we're going to be actually focusing in a little bit on that. So stay tuned on that one. But Rob, I appreciate you. But what's going on, friends? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. Well, I am so pumped today to talk to you. And by the way, this is the Master Connector Show. So get in the comments, right? Connect with each other. We want you to tell us where you're from, what city, what state, what country. And listen, get in there and say, hey, I do this or I do that or whatever, And again, no pitching on here, but we definitely want to connect with each other and facilitate conversations, because it's all about connection, right? It's crazy. We are getting so many. I had another one this morning, and I put a post out, and I wonder if it was because the post, but hey, would you want to? And it's this whole 16 paragraphs of how the person can help me. They didn't even know anything about me, and already they're pitching me, right? So I would say, guys, let's ditch the pitch. Let's stop the pitch slapping, right? The PITCH slapping with a P, right? Not we're not throwing out profanities here, but we're just excited. Yolanda, it was great seeing you. So Yolanda has been an amazing supporter of the show. Incredible having a chance to connect with you finally over a Zoom call. So cool. But by the way, it's so funny. I got to say this, right? So we got on a call, and the first thing she says to me is, "Who loves your baby?" Now, for some of you guys who follow us, follow the content, follow the show, she understands. I put a post out when I shaved the head. I took the hair off. Donnie, who's in the back in the green room. I don't know if he noticed the change. Took it off, right? And back in the day, there was a show called Kojak with Telly Savalas, and he used to have this lollipop, and his line was, "Who loves your baby?" So she says to me, "Who loves me, baby? Who loves your baby?" As we're starting the call, but just amazing being on with you again. I think it's all about relationships. It's all about connection, right? Tim, great seeing you on the show. Lenny, great having you. Lenny is in the search mode, so keep him in mind if you're looking for somebody. Look, Tim is just commenting on books, and again, yeah, thank you, Yolanda. No pitch slapping. It's funny because I reach out, and again, you'll hear if you follow me, the content, the show, you're gonna see that everybody that I connect with, I make an attempt to get on a call with. No agenda, no pitching. Okay. And so I'm on, with communicating, with somebody that I actually recently connected with. And she's like, "Yeah, I'll definitely get on a call, but I don't want to be sold." I said, "Well, if I definitely, if you check out some of my content, I'm exactly the opposite of that. I'm definitely not about pitching. So, but and she says, "You want to send me some content, recent content." Now I happen to do a post just when that happened about this dialogue. So I sent her that post. Pretty funny. Anyway, on what I had done. So, but it's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about, like Rob said, a lot of stuff. Really, we're not just going to talk. Listen, it's straightforward. Ditch the pitch. Okay. But let's talk about how we can connect with people, and people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And people want to be heard. They want to believe that you care about them. And there's so many great quotes. Parker, great having you on here. We have a blank. It says LinkedIn user. So I'm not sure how we can get you to acknowledge that you're on here, but we don't have you here. But anyway, it's going to be a great show. So I'm going to have Rob G, because I don't want to put any more time on this. Let's get into the content. Rob, I'll turn it over to you, sir. So blessed to have you as co-host. There you go, sir.
Thanks, buddy. Same here. Well, listen, we got a great guest. I hadn't met him before we were starting the show, but we were just talking a little bit. This is my kind of guy. So listen, Donnie Bovine serves as the CEO of Success Champion Networking. It ought to give you a clue right there. He's the founder of the Badass Business Summit. He's a top 5 podcaster and a 5-time best-selling author. We get some good people for you here. Motivated by a desire to transform the landscape of networking, Donnie established business-to-business networking groups across North America. Now, with hundreds of members, they have created a business that is more than a community. It is a support system. And as we know, as business owners, support is huge. Success Champion Networking is a B2B business family that recognizes networking as a vital driver of growth and success. Donnie is dedicated to providing his members with the essential support, a thriving community, and valuable education to ensure their B2B success. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Donnie Bovine. Hey, Donnie.
Rob. Hey, Steve. Guys, looking forward to hanging out, man. Already hanging in the green room. We're already, almost like locker room talk. So it's been a lot of fun. So looking forward to hanging out with you guys.
It was pretty raw. It was awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Well, great having you on here, Donnie. And so we're going to dive right into this. And we want to go a little counterintuitive here, right? So I want you, the community, obviously everyone's in the comments. Get in the comments. Make sure you connect with each other. John Phillips, great having you on here, sir. Connect with that man. He's been a great supporter of our show and our community. He's in Suffering, New York, but he'll do business anywhere there's a need. So, but I appreciate you guys. And Yolanda, of course, welcoming you, Donnie. That's awesome. She's amazing. So, but yeah, let's get into this, right? So type in hashtag taker community, right? And this is the show we're about is we're go-givers, right? That's a big part of one of our pillar of our shows. But here's the question for you, Donnie, right? It's a little bit of a twist, a little spin here. What does it mean when you say if you don't take, you will be taken advantage of?
100%. I love this question. And thank you for starting off with it. So I think that the phrase give to gain is one of the dumbest phrases on the planet. And here's why, right? Give to gain literally says I'm giving to gaining. And I know that's not the context that was originally put out in. They were saying I give, you give to gain. Here's the problem. What that's done over the years is taught people to give. And then they come back, they're like, I'm giving and get nothing in return. Nobody's doing anything for me. I'm opening all these doors. I'm doing all these introductions and nothing happens. And the problem is everybody is out looking for themselves. They're all trying to take care of themselves. And they actually don't. Hello, Miss Ricky. I see you there. right? They don't often, understand that if you don't take, you're going to be taken advantage of. So you have to do what we call the 5 Gs, which is give, get, and then give again. But you have to specifically ask for specific introductions that you want to go after. I'm not a referral guy. I don't think referrals come from networking. Referrals come from your clients. And just to define, a referral is Bob meets Sally. Sally, I've told Bob all about your services. I'm excited to have that conversation, right? There's a sales call attached to it. That makes it a referral. An introduction is an introduction to a nice people, nice places, nice opportunities. It's two good people go meet, right? Networking is about introductions. Referrals come from your clients, not your network. But so you've got to go give a ton of introductions, and then you got to tell people specifically what introduction you need so you can get it back.
Donnie, I got to jump right in here because as soon as you said it, I was like, oh man, I remember this guy. Wait, put me back with you guys for a second, Steve. I got to see you guys. I can't stand looking at myself all the time. I appreciate it, Steve. So listen, to what you said, Donnie, there was this guy that I was in networking with, and he would do that. He would give people an hour of his time as like a kind of a face-to-face, getting to know you call type thing. And he did that dozens and dozens and dozens of times that I know of. And he gets on with me. He goes, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm like, why? He goes, because all I did is give people advice and teach them stuff. And he like gave them everything. And he goes, I'm getting no business. And I said, why are you doing that? Because like you said, he automatically assumed because I give that the people are going to hire me. And I'm like, well, first of all, your first mistake was giving everything away. That's just stupid. The second thing is, what did you do to get their business? So I like when you say get, some people think, get without, just take initially, but you're not saying that. You're saying give, and then you get, but you've got to get the business. You got to ask for the business. You got to earn the business, right?
100%. And what I want people to understand is we're not talking about referrals. Networking is not about getting to that end user client. Okay. You're networking to get into your network's network, right? Like I need to become friends, get to know you guys so I can get deep into your world. And let's be honest, networking was built by a bunch of broke people that didn't know how to sell. If you go read every networking organization, every book that's ever been written, somebody said, I didn't want to go do a cold call, so I went networking, right? And that's where this all comes from. If you also look at the background of those individuals, they all come from transactional sales. They come from insurance. They become from life insurance, those type of things where everybody is a prospect for them. So that type of networking works if you're in a B2C game, but most people we deal with are in a B2B game. They're selling business to business. And if you go in with this transactional mindset of, I'm going to give, you're going to burn out your network because nobody knows how to help or serve you. So what you have to understand is each one of us has these two strategic industries that are amazing synergy partner for us. So what I typically do is I'll draw a triangle in the middle of the screen, and I will tell people what I want you to do is put your best client, whatever your client is, that best client in the center of that triangle. You put you at the top of the triangle, and then I want you to come up with two industries that sell to that best industry, like whatever your industry your best client is. Come up with two industries that sell to that industry, right? That are not competition for you. And as you network, what you do is you tell people, I help companies that are in this, industry, right? Whatever it is. But I would love to meet this industry and this industry. You're going for introductions. So let's say you do websites for a website company, a telecom company, and an MSP, an IT companies are really good synergy partners for them. So they're going to tell people, I'm do websites. What typically happens is they go, I'm looking for people who need websites. Well, nobody ever hears those conversations. But if they change it up and say, I'm looking for telecom companies, I'm looking for managed service providers, I'm looking for IT companies, watch the introductions happen because we all are networking with those type of people and we have those introductions. It's how you actually get from the network. Right? It's how you can leverage any network you're in and fill your pipeline with the real amazing synergistic conversations.
I got to jump in here, and this is golden. This is great stuff, guys. I'm hoping you're taking notes. You're really dialed in here because great stuff. And I love Donnie, that you're like you're so raw and in your face. I love it. I love it. Right? No tip and toe through the tulips with you. That's for sure. I appreciate you. But here's the thing I want to just throw out there. Right? I am one of those givers, but I do ask, right? And for me, and I've done a better job these days of kind of doing that kind of thing. So one of my goals is to be on a TEDx stage. And so at the end, often when and I want to talk about giving for a moment too, but when I at the end, I often hear back, what can I do for you? Right. And so I say, hey, maybe, if you know of anybody, and you may not, but anyone who is a TEDx organizer, I'd love to get a connection, introduction to somebody like that. And I've been getting a lot of introductions. Now, sometimes it's TEDx speakers, sometimes it's people that, coach on TEDx, but it's still there, and I'm getting stuff. So make sure you ask, and it could be subtle. It could be say, listen, I'm, and in case you're wondering what would be helpful for me, this would be a good referral for me. Just throw it in there, not heavy sell. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm doing a lot more of that these days. In my case, most people are asking me, what can I do for you? The second thing I want to make, you kind of piggyback off what you're saying, Donnie, and you, Rob, as well, is the giving, right? Rob said you can give away everything. This guy he mentioned, right? Well, you could also give that has nothing to do with what you do for profession, right? Like I remember speaking to Cameron in the beginning, and he was, overwhelmed from, all the stuff he was doing in his business. So I said, hey, you should read the book, E-Myth Revisited, and he loved it, right? So the giving can be other things. It could be not only introductions, it could be a book, it could be, hey, you should check out this podcast. Hey, maybe you could be on my live show, whatever it is. The give doesn't have to be you giving your services and all that free stuff. Just keep that in mind, because if you're a good listener, which a big part of what we're going to talk about today is listening and really hearing for needs, wants, and desires, you can help them, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're helping them by giving away all your content, so to speak, right?
Well, can I challenge that just a little bit? And here's why. I
Sure.
think you should give it all away. And let me
Okay.
explain.
Sure.
Every time I jump on a virtual coffee with somebody, I live on a farm. I'm 35 minutes from town. If I got to drive into town, I lose half the day. I'm not doing it. Right. So I'm going to jump on a Zoom. We call them virtual coffees. In that 30 minutes, want somebody, by the time I'm done with them, to have the exact strategy, game plan, and everything to blow the hell up out of their business. Like, I want them to feel like they could run through a brick wall and build the dream that they've been trying to build all the way along. So I'm going to teach, I'm going to give them all away. 9 times out of 10, if you pour into people the right way, the number one thing they do is, Donnie, how do we do more of this? Right? They ask me. So the flip side of that as well is, on social media, you should teach every golden nugget, every supposed secret. You should give it all away. And here's why. The more you teach people everything that you have learned, you will get the world to lean in. And here's the thing. People tell me all the time, but Donnie, if I do that, people are going to take my stuff and they're going to run with it. One, if you're putting out content every day, it's really hard for somebody to consume everything that you've ever done and taught and be able to replicate. 2, if they want to do it on their own, let them, because those DIY people, they're a pain in the arse anyways. I changed it, right? They're a pain anyways, and you don't want them as a freaking client, right? The people that you want to work with, they want to understand that you really have working knowledge of this, that you really know what the hell you're talking about. And then when they see that value, they're the ones that are going to send you the DMs, or like, hey, I keep seeing you show up teaching this thing. I think we should talk about what you could do for my company.
Love it. That's great. And I appreciate that. Yeah, listen, we don't need yes men on the show, yes people, right? So if you got a different contrary idea, we want to hear it for sure. All right, so we're going to talk about the opposite side, giver, right? And I do want to hear a little more. We're going to dig into this a little bit. So type in #giver. What is the value of giving versus taking? And you kind of touched on it a little bit,
Yep.
but give us a little more of that.
So what I think really the power of networking as a whole is the ability to make introductions for people. And I already mentioned, let's make introductions to the right people, the right opportunities, and the right, situations. So what you want to think about is, oftentimes I get value from the network when somebody says, hey, have you ever heard about this event? Or have you ever heard about this group getting together? Right. And I know I get value for that. So one of the ways that you can give is literally information, right? there's this event going on, there's this coming out, there's this place you need to be here, and the likes. So the other thing you can do is really help people understand the difference in how you should be networking. Right? Everybody, typically goes networking. They find a room of people, don't care who's in it. They show up, they pass a few business cards around, they end up drinking too much if it's an after hours, and then they go home, right? That's a traditional sense of networking. In every one of those environments, you should get very, very, very focused and strategic. Like if I'm going to go to a networking event, first thing I'm going to do, of course, is go to the bar, right? I'm going to order a Captain Morgan on the rocks, and then I'm going to go out and I'm going to start hitting the room. When I get out into the room and start talking to people, they're going to only get asked a couple of questions from me, right? I'm going to ask, why this event? What is they hoping to get out of this particular event? And then, of course, I'm going to ask them, how did they get into what they do, which inevitably gets them to tell me what they do. The next thing I'm going to ask them is, what industry is your best client in? And whatever industry they give me, instantly, I'm going to start thinking, what industry sells to that industry that is not competition for them? So prime example, I had a young lady last year around June reach out to me. She goes, I really need help. She goes, I do college help and support for families that are struggling to get scholarships and put their kids through college. She goes, nobody will make introductions for me. I said, okay. Why will nobody make introductions for me? She goes, because nobody wants to admit they can't afford to put their kids through college. I said, makes sense. I said, if you were to look through all the clients you had, what industry sent you the most referrals? She didn't skip a beat and she said bookkeepers. I said, fantastic. I said, what happens if you meet 100 bookkeepers before the end of the year? She goes, it would absolutely transform my business. I said, from here on out, what I want you to do is tell everybody you do this college tuition assistant thing. You would love to meet their bookkeeper. 3 weeks before the end of the year, she reached out to me and she said, Donnie, I got to let you know you changed my life. You tripled my company. She goes, I had to stop telling people that I needed to meet bookkeepers. Everybody focuses on the end user. When I meet somebody, I want to figure out who's their synergy partners that I can get them to. And what's fantastic about that, if I can get them those synergy partners, I can make the world's simplest ask and go, okay, here's 5 bookkeepers, 6 bookkeepers. Can I tell you, I'm looking to meet with podcasters, people who have shows, people who have stages. And they're like, I don't know if I know anybody that do those things. And I'll simply say, do you mind if we go to LinkedIn really quick? And they'll go to their search box. And I'm like, will you type in podcast? And every time they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm connected to that person. I'm like, how well would you know them? Would you be okay making an introduction? You got to get purposeful. And if they give me the introduction, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop 5 or 6 more introductions for them.
There you go.
Yeah. Listen, we're talking about, LinkedIn community. First of all, as a reminder, today's show is called Let's Ditch the Pitch. And I hear what Donnie's saying. And when I came into business, look, I didn't have a big business background. I had 25 years in corporate America. So I didn't totally understand necessarily this stuff that Donnie's talking about. But maybe I did have one thing. As my high school principal told me, a basically borderline failing student, I was a C student. If I got a C plus, my parents did a dance. He said to me, Rob, you're not very smart, but you got street smarts. So I took that. When I went into business, it just made common sense to me. Pitching is if you got your foot in the door and the company says, tell us what you will do for us. And it is a pitch situation. You do not meet somebody and pitch them. Did you hear what Donnie said? What brings you to this event? Who's your best industry contact? That kind of thing. So put your questions in the comments about this, because Steve and I are huge networkers. And the biggest offense by far is I meet you and I go, so let me tell you what I do. Boom, 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 boom. And Steve's got vomit all over his face. And guess what? He never wants to talk to me again. And this is the biggest problem Donnie's solving for. So put your questions in there for Donnie, because we only got him for a few more minutes. I want to hear specific questions that you got, because you're not getting the business you want. Donnie's going to answer them for you.
So, and while they're typing those, I want to add in there. So if you treat every conversation like it's a cold call, you'll change the dynamics of what you do. What most people typically do is they get across from somebody and they do the verbal vomit, right? They're like, let me tell you all the things I do, what makes me amazing, what makes me awesome, whatever, right? The power of treating things like a cold call is now you got to understand, I don't know anything about this person, right? I've got to go discover their world. I got to get curious as hell and dive into who they are and
Right.
what they do. And you start asking questions, and you'll be amazed that the more questions you ask of others, the more you'll be able to open doors, give opportunities, and really help and serve others.
I love
It's
that. That's great. This is like I think Tim said, it's golden. What you're doing is golden here. All right, so we got one. I'm gonna slip one question in here, and then we're gonna wrap the show up here and ask you for final takeaways. Focus. Hashtag focus, everybody. All right, and this is interesting, right, Donnie? So why do you say you don't want to focus on what on who to sell to? Tell me what that means, if you could, please.
So, and I'm going to answer the other two that just popped up as well. I'll get them all right.
Okay.
So, you don't want to focus on the end user client. You want to focus on your synergy partners. And the main reason you want to do that is because we're not having the personal conversations with people that line them up. Like, if I needed to make some introductions from Rob, I really talk to people that say I'm having branding problems. But I am talking to people that are building websites and copywriters and people who are talking to people about having these particular branding problems, right? I see those all the time. So for me, it's about focus on your synergy partners to actually get to your end user clients. It's the network's network, right? And then elevator speech, throw an elevator speech in the freaking trash. Right. Whoever invented them needs to be punched in the face. And I mean everything about that, because look, at no point in time are you ever going to walk up to somebody with a stupid jingle or something else. An elevator pitch is designed to pitch your business and sell your crap, right? That's the whole point of it. You need to be able to say what you do, black and white, in simple terms. And the reason people don't like to say what they do in black and white, simple terms is because they're scared of the flinch. They're a financial advisor. They're an insurance person. They're, life insurance. They're in something where everybody flinches as soon as they say what they do. So they come up with all these cute sayings and everything else, or they just don't know what the hell their business is. Because we've all sat across from people that after they tell you what their business is, you're like, I have no clue what this person does, right? You got to tell people in black and white, and you got to own it. The only reason people need a pitch is because they're trying to avoid the overall flinch. Very rarely you're going to find yourself in an elevator for 30 seconds where this is a do or die. You've got to convince this person right now that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Just tell people what the hell you do and get out with all of this.
So I'm gonna just you challenge me. I'm gonna challenge you a little bit,
Come on.
Donnie. So one thing I'll just say is, and because not everybody fits in a little box, like I don't fit in a little box, right? So it's not easy for me. But I would say this: whatever you say in that little short window of time, make it intriguing enough that they're like, I need to speak. I need to meet this guy. I need to have a conversation with this guy. Something that intrigues them enough to want to lean in and say, we need to talk at some point.
Oh yeah, no,
Whatever that is.
I'm coming back at you. So here's where I'm going to challenge that entire thought
Okay.
process.
All right, let's
It's
go. Bring it.
not about you, right? And this is what everybody screws up. What they think about is they got to get people interested in me. I got to get people asking me questions. I got to get people leaning in. No, that's the whole opposite way. We're playing lifelong relationships. This moment doesn't even freaking matter, right? I don't care if they know what I do for the next year. Because what's going to happen is we're going to build a lifelong relationship over time, right? And have an amazing conversation over time. If I have to worry that, oh my God, are they going to lean in? And I know that's not what you were saying, right? But are they going to lean in? Are they going to ask me questions? Are they going to be curious? Look, if I'm in your shoes, Steve, I literally say I connect businesses. That's my job. I put the right people in the right rooms and the right opportunities, and leave it at that. And then you immediately dive into their world and you start asking them, and you figure out, because here's the thing, the more fascinated we become with other individuals, the more fascinated they become with me, right?
Yeah.
We've got to pour into their world. It has nothing to do with how we show up, what we say, what we do. It's about getting us into their world. That's how we stay top of mind, by opening doors for them.
There you go. Parker says you're preaching. I love it. Absolutely. Listen, I think we're saying the same in slightly different words, but I always go, everything I say, whatever I say, even though I feel like it's intriguing and it gets, I want to have a long-term relationship. So if I don't say something that I believe is going to want them to continue to talk to me, then we're not going to have that long-term relationship. So that's why I say what I say. But we could, again, we're running out of time here. So this is great. This is awesome. Make sure you connect with Donnie. Donnie, what's last final words? Something you want to, give the community best way to reach you, whatever, and then we're gonna put you in the green room and close things down?
100%. One, follow me on LinkedIn here. I have literally on my LinkedIn profile, if you click book an appointment with me, it's a free Zoom call. Come jump in. Love to hang out with you. Learn more about your world. Quit treating business as a transaction, right? We grew up in a transactional networking world where it's about us, it's about what we do. At the end of the day, if you go to networking events, you do anything, right? People don't need to know what you do. They're going to find out over time. Like, it's networking. You're going to run into them again. You're going to run into them again and again and again, right? The overall goal of everything is, can we open up doors for people so I can ask for doors to be open for me? Thanks for having me on, guys.
It's awesome. Appreciate you. We'll catch up with you later. All right. Awesome. Well, this is great.
Steve,
Big stuff, huh?
I think this is the fastest show ever for me. I'm just like, okay, I want to talk more. And I'm like, we're already out of time.
Yeah. We just appreciate you, Donnie, big time. But
yeah,
so
I'm going to jump right in here, Steve, because we got to talk about what you're giving people. You know, Donnie came and he gave the best he's gotten. There's so much more he's got to give. So make sure you're connecting with Donnie on LinkedIn. Connect with Steve and I on LinkedIn too, because LinkedIn is one of the best grounds for meeting amazing people. But listen, Steve, as I said in the beginning, has a great overcoming story, and he's wrote a book about it. I'm going to put it in the chat, but it's called The Tao of a Master Connector. A lot of people may not know this, but Steve holds multiple black belts in a couple of different disciplines, multiple first-degree black belts in a couple of disciplines. So he has that ability to achieve in many different areas. And he took that discipline, applied it to connecting, applied it to business, and you're going to see some of the transformations and the secrets in his book, The Tao of a Master Connector. I'm going to put it in the chat, Steve, while you close out the show.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, Rob. It's been great. And I want to thank the community. You guys are amazing. Great engagement today. Thank you. Donnie brought the heat for sure. So we appreciate him. And listen, next week, episode 154, I think it is. It is on March 13th, which is a week from today. The topic is From the Head to the Heart, right? And with Doug Gordon. It's gonna be a great show. Don't miss it. And listen, if there's interest in further shows, further episodes, go to masterconnector.show. And if you're interested in hosting an episode, go to the same spot, masterconnector.show, and you can learn more about that. But listen, we are I believe we're in an amazing place. But it's a tough world right now, right? And we've had a lot of stuff between wars, and now there's new elections coming up, and there's concerns and all this stuff going on. And listen, but I believe it's our responsibility to set the tone. Like I heard it said, right? When you enter rooms, you could either be a thermostat or thermometer, right? You could either you acknowledge the temperature of the room, or you could create, like a thermostat, create the temperature. So let's create the temperature. Let's be a positive force. And whenever you're around people, let's try to uplift, inspire them, right? Reach out, say something nice. It's awesome. So we appreciate you. Make sure you come back next week. Make sure if you love what you show, share this out, get this link to other people. Our goal is really to reach the entire world. So just appreciate you, and see you next week. And make sure, let's be the light.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives